Welcome back, Pokemon fans. We are ready for our next matchup between the Dragon Knights and the Mount Phantoms. Or, I'm sorry, the NL Phantoms. I can't read. My vision is terrible. These two teams do look to provide quite a bit of interesting matchups here. We have the Dragon Knights with Sneasler, Mega Dragonite, Politoed, Scizor, all the way down to another Mega Chandelure matchup that could possibly be happening here. And on the NL Phantom side, we have Mega Delphox being their primary Mega with Mega Aggron sitting in the back. We could see the wall happen here. It will just be a chess match to see who can get what they want on the field. We'll have an interesting matchup here. Raichu does exist here. Lightning Rodding any possible electric moves, or having a static to help paralyze. We could see some nuzzle strategies going on here to prevent speed control going for Charles' side for the Dragon Knights. We'll have an interesting matchup here as we head into our second match back-to-back of this possible triple header have here. I hope everyone is just as excited as I am for this possible matchup here, and we have our screen live as we now see our two players here, Charles and Casper, Slimy XD, getting ready for game one of their setup. Week one is always an interesting time to see how players play, what kind of strategies they can cook up here. We will see some interesting things going on here as we see Beartic, Vaporeon, Dragonite, Politoed, Sneasler, and Mega Chandelure all on the side for the Dragon Knights, with the NL Phantoms bringing Delphox, Crocodile, Raichu, as well as Primarina, Noivern, and Mega Frostlass here. Or regular Frostlass, I apologize. And we have the leads for the NL Phantoms being Delphox and Noivern to start turn one, with that Frisk finding out what item these Pokemon are holding, and the Sneasler and Chandelure combination to start game one for the Dragon Knights. Now, this does not necessarily mean that the Dragon Knights are going to Mega Evolve that Chandelure, but it does mean that if there is an Aggron waiting in the back for the NL Phantoms, it will not like what this Chandelure has to offer. Now, for the NL Phantoms, their Mega Evolution options are Mega Delphox and Aggron. Well, I'm sorry, they didn't even bring Aggron to this match in general, so we will see Mega Delphox be the main choice for the NL Phantoms. Whereas the Dragon Knights have the possibility of Mega Evolving both Mega Chandelure and Dragonite. The Protect does come out from the Noivern. And we see the Protect from the Delphox. Looks like a turn one scout for that fake out to see where it's going here. That Sneasler did fake out into the Delphox spot. And what move will we see come out here? A Shadow Ball from that Mega Chandelure. Now, as we found out in that last game, Mega Chandelure does have a base speed of 90. It is quite speedy on that field, but definitely not speedier than Mega Delphox and Noivern, who both have speed stats well over 100. Our turn two here is going to be a little bit more action-packed. For anyone curious, I do think this Sneasler is not running an item. I don't know if that's an accident. If Unburden wants to activate, it does have to lose an item the turn while it is on the battlefield for Unburden to be active. So it does not get any speed boost from not having an item. Now we have a Dragon Pulse coming into that Mega Chandelure spot, giving some good chip damage. The Delphox responding with a Shadow Ball of its own, but the Chandelure lives. And we'll see what happens here. A Dire Claw into that Delphox, doing nearly, just over half its health, with the Shadow Ball coming out to assuredly knock out that Mega Delphox spot. What an absolutely big double up into that Delphox, with just Delphox and Noivern not able to do enough damage to that Chandelure, which does seem to have a bit of bulk on it. Now, Crocodile does come out here. The White Herb It looks like we just missed that view, a point of that Sneasler. It did have a white herb on it, and now it is at double speed. So if it does have close combat, it will come out into that Crocodile and hurt like crazy. Now, if we're looking at that frisk, it could have frisked the Sneasler, but not the Chandelure for that Mega Stone. We have a protect coming from the Crocodile. The close combat does go into that Crocodile spot with the Noivern clicking Tailwind here. That is a big Tailwind, but let's see what this Mega Chandelure does here to respond. An Energy Ball into that Crocodile, basically ignoring that Noivern and trying to get rid of its supporting partner Pokemon right now, that big physical attacker in Crocodile. All right, let's see what the next turn has in store for us here. That Tailwind is up. So now while Sneasler may outspeed that Crocodile based on that double speed, I am not sure if it's going to outspeed that Noivern. I don't think it does. We see a switch out here on that Crocodile, sending in Frostlass, their fourth and final Pokemon here. A Dragon Pulse does finally go into that Chandelure spot, knocking it out. It did take a lot of damage, and then it was able to knock out that Mega Delphox. If someone could let me know if audio is still dead. We do have that triple axle coming out into that Vaporeon spot. Thank you all for assuring me that it's back up now. You'll hear a moment of silence, I do believe, while I was seeing if there was anything on my end. We see that Surf coming out from that Politoed, getting a bit of chunk damage down here, as Water Absorb does heal back some of that health from that triple axle that really did quite a bit of damage. Noivern and Frostlass here chipped with a little bit of damage on both of them here. Almost half of health done to Noivern. Sunny Day does come out, getting rid of that water disable, stopping any potential shenanigans from Surf from Politoed, so it cannot heal back up that Vaporeon. But the Ice Beam does come out, and that will knock out the Noivern here with that 4 times super effective damage. That is a big Sunny Day to limit the damage of that Vaporeon and Politoed's water moves. But this Politoed can swap out into this Sneasler, but it would be coming in potentially into the face of a ground type move from that Crocodile here, who was now incredibly threatening without that Sneasler on the field. And we have seen all 4 Pokemon from the DragonKnights' field, so we know that Beartic and Dragonite are not in the back. The Quick Claw comes out, and we see a Rain Dance come down on the field. What a play! What a Quick Claw activation timing here. With that triple axle coming back out, doing a little bit of damage, that Vaporeon really ate that quite well this time, with high horsepower coming out, not knocking out the Vaporeon, the Citrus Berry activating, and that Vaporeon comes back up here and uses its own Muddy Water, boosted by the rain, to knock out both the Frostlass and the Crocodile in one fell shot. And that is game 1 for us here, with the DragonKnights taking the victory off a solid lead of Mega Chandelure and Sneasler with the water duo of Vaporeon and Politoed in the back, tanking damage and doing good work with that rain and those spread moves with Muddy Water and Surf. That is incredible game one for us there, with the Dragon taking that up. Will we see an adjustment from either side on their leads? Because that Delphox just did not do enough damage to that Mega Chandelure, and that made it so that it could not impact the game past the first turn. The Mega Chandelure showing out big for us these past two matches, putting in a lot of great work. Now the Candid Candles were not able to secure the victory with the with the Mega Chandelure in their match. However, Dragonite has come back in, and the Dragonite have put good work into game one here to give themselves a solid lead. We now enter game two with a lot of good knowledge about how bulky some of these Pokemon are for the Dragonite and how the NL Phantoms can respond to that bulkiness with their Pokemon here. Let's see what game two brings for us here. Will the Dragonite bring back with that lead of Mega Chandelure and Sneasler to put pressure right away onto the NL Phantom side, who we know is strapped into the Mega Delphox, as they did not bring Mega Aggron in the back at all for this matchup. They decided it was just best not to go with it. And in the face of the Mega Chandelure, you can certainly understand why. And a little bit of bulk here has made it so that Chandelure really has become one of the most threatening Pokemon on the Dragonite squad for this NL Phantoms team. And we have a rain lead of Politoed and what is likely Swift Swim Beartic. But we have a new lead from the NL Phantoms of Raichu and Krookodile, who did put that Intimidate down on the field, making Beartic slightly weaker here. Let's see what happens. Will Raichu fake out either of these Pokemon, Politoed or Beartic? And what will Krookodile do to start getting the party rolling here against the little bit of water and ice? With the lead from either side, we don't know which Mega Pokemon is hiding in the back for the Dragonite, and we don't know if Delphox was brought to this game too just yet. Now this Beartic's speed might be doubled by the Swift Swim ability that it has, because it doesn't like fighting in its own rain style, but it does like using water to boost itself as well. With Primarina in the back here, that is our second adjustment here we've seen so far. Beartic did click Protect, fake out into that Beartic spot, but he did Protect to keep himself at full health. The Politoed with Earth Power doing a half health to that Raichu, putting great chunk damage down on him already, but the Citrus Berry does go into effect, bringing him back over, so he will be able to live at least one more Earth Power unless there's a double up. Now this Beartic, I don't think the Beartic's move pool includes something to help with this Primarina very much. It has a lot of water, ice, and dark moves and a couple ground moves. There's the Rock Slide coming out, hopefully looking for some flinches here. With the Raichu going for that Volt Switch, doing great damage to the Politoed, bringing it down to almost half health, but it just stays just above. Let's see what this switch is in here. Noivern, we did in fact confirm that there is no Mega Delphox in the back here. They decided to go with a bulkier. And, ooh, the Calm Mind from Primarina. That makes it incredibly threatening now. With this Beartic at -1, it will need to try to get rid of this Primarina much faster now, as it also has leftovers to help it live on the field much longer. Now, that Earth Power did try to go into that Raichu spot, but Noivern comes in, who is now likely to put up a Tailwind to make sure that Primarina can start outspeeding some of these big threats outside of Beartick. Beartick does swap out here, in with Sneasler, hopefully for some fake out and poison pressure to take down that Primarina. But the bad part about this is if Primarina did go for a... Nope, it went for Calm Mind here, so it does get a +2 in special defense and special attack. And we know from game 1 that Sneasler has White Urban, not a Focus Sash, so it will not be able to withstand a potential Hyper Voice if Primarina moves before it. This has become an excellent pivot game 2 for the NL Phantoms in responding to the Dragon Knights for how they proceed, as Politoed is on the field along with Sneasler, and there isn't a way for them to easily set up here to be able to get rid of this Primarina. I do expect the Primarina to protect along with the Noivern, possibly putting down some damage if it doesn't get the fake out into this spot, but we could see double protect from this NL Phantom side with that Tailwind up. Now, we did see Primarina move before that Noivern right there, so that means the Noivern is going to go for an attacking move. Who will it put some damage down on? And it goes for Sneasler, putting down some great damage, almost half health of Sneasler here, as the Primarina does protect, and we'll get an extra turn of leftovers here with this Tailwind still active. And most importantly, that Sneasler's Unburden is not active because it was not able to get any damage off and no stats were lowered. Excellent positioning from the NL Phantoms here, and now getting Primarina in a position to really start steamrolling the Dragon Knights side of the field. The Quick Claw does activate from that Politoed, getting a key Muddy Water off. Will we see an accuracy drop from that Primarina? Because that would be huge. And we do. We see the accuracy drop do land on the Primarina, but not that Noivern, as it does land the Dragon Pulse. Let's see if there's any misses. There is no misses, though, and the Politoed gets dropped down to red here, while the Sneasler goes down to the Hyper Voice. But that accuracy drop does mean that Primarina will not be landing 100% accurate moves unless it switches out and comes back in. But that +2 in special defense and special attack is hard to give up here, as the Tailwind is still active. The Quick Claw from Politoed playing huge here in game 2 for the Dragon Knights. The rain has ended, which makes it so that Beartick will assuredly not outspeed either Primarina or Noivern here, as they have the Tailwind up. I do believe the Dragon Knights are in a tough position here as they decide whether or not they want to try to win the Weather War, but giving Primarina water, giving it rain to boost its water attacks are not going to bode well. Here, a sunny day comes up. The Moonblast misses off of the huge accuracy drop, but the Rock Slide missing that Noivern. That is huge there. And Rain Dance goes up, putting it back in a position where the Beartick does have speed control once this Tailwind goes out here on this turn. Beartick will now be faster than this Noivern, and we saw that it does have Rock Slide and will try to connect on them. We do not know its other two moves yet. We know it has Protect and Rock Slide, but it could also have Liquidation, Icicle Spear, Icicle Crasher as other most popular moves here. This is a very tightly held contest here in game 2 here, as NL Phantoms try to get back into the fold here, but the accuracy drop on Primarina proving to be costly already, as she misses that Moonblast on that Beartick, preventing it from being kept on the field. The Hyper Voice does come out. It does connect both this time, and Politoed and Beartick go down. This has now become a 4v1 versus the Dragon Knights and the NL Phantoms here in Game 2. That Hyper Voice, huge landing there. Now every move is a gamble, though, as it could miss. Ooh, and there is a forfeit from the Dragon Knights. As we potentially head into Game 3 here, I have to do a rules check real quick. Okay, and we are back. Now, I will say, in the rules, forfeiting is not allowed. However, a warning will be provided to the Dragon Knights coach here. They likely just forgot that as the top rule, as there was a long rule sheet. We will proceed with this Game 3 to see how it proceeds. Now, we have a Sneasler and Chandelure lead here, with Mega Chandelure going right away on turn 1, as Noivern and Frostlass head up the other side here, and a Protect does come out from that Noivern. Fake Out does hit that Protect, and we will see what happens with this Frostlass, who does hit Will-O-Wisp on the Sneasler, making it slightly weaker here for the rest of the battle. But Sneasler, as we've seen, can still do quite a bit of more damage here. All right, that turn 1 did show that Frostlass getting knocked out from that heat wave. We do have the potential for turn 2 to be a lot more exciting, though, as Primarina does come onto the field here. There is the possibility of Tailwind Hyper Voice coming out and putting some big damage down on the field. Sneasler here, though, does have access to Dire Claw. However, it is burned, so we know that it won't knock out this Primarina, even if it does get to land that Dire Claw on there. The trainers are taking their times choosing this turn's actions, as they really try to make sure that they're making the correct decisions into this turn 3 here, or rather into this turn 2 here. I likely think we'll see, a Protect does come out from Primarina to protect itself here, and Tailwind does go up from this Noivern. What will this Chandelure and Sneasler do? The Sneasler predicts the predict, coming out with a Dire Claw into the Noivern. Now this Chandelure is at full health, and as we saw from game one, it is quite bulky and can take a bit of punishment here, but let's see what happens here on this turn where Primarina is going to outspeed both Sneasler and Chandelure here. Noivern is able to click Dragon Pulse here to do some good chip damage here. Raichu does come out though in place of that Primarina, as it fears the Energy Ball and the Dire Claw from that Chandelure spot. That poison coming out on the Raichu. Now, arguably, that's the best status you could hope for because you're not sleeped or paralyzed here. Oh, but this Raichu does not survive this turn as the critical hit knocks the Raichu as it just stayed above 50% health and could not get its Citrus Berry active. That is a big double up that provides great coverage for this Chandelure to have knocked it out. And now we have a 2v4 here for the DragonKnights as they have put themselves back into a great position with Chandelure here leading the way. This is in a much more precarious position than it was in last game, as it does not have the same kind of presence here with Politoed and Beartick, keeping it sort of safe from any super effective or status conditions. So this Primarina is going to have to go straight for damage here, but that is a great Dragon Pulse into that Sneasler, making it so that this move knocks out the Sneasler, but the Chandelure lives. It is just incredibly tanky here, making it so that it just does not want to die. And that Energy Ball comes out, bringing that Primarina down to just under 25% health, or just over 25% health. The leftovers here really going to be a big factor here on if Primarina can stick around long term in this game. Now this Noivern has done a lot of actually great work here this match, but can it help carry Primarina to the finish line? One thing to note here is with that Sneasler off the field, Noivern can actually outspeed this Chandelure and make it so that Primarina can possibly go for a Calm Mind here to help bulk itself up against this Vaporeon, who possibly has the partner of Politoed in the back for more rain spam. The Chandelure does click Protect here. The Noivern does Dragon Pulse into it, knowing that it would knock it. What will this Primarina do here? It does try to set up with that Calm Mind. The NL Phantom's really trying to bank on this Primarina here for getting them a victory. Now that Vaporeon does click Ice Beam, that 4-time super effective move does knock out the Noivern. What an excellent play here. With this Tailwind ending here, we do not know if the Energy Ball off a +1 Primarina will survive. This is now a 1v3 with this Primarina versus Vaporeon and Chandelure and a hidden Pokemon in the back here for this game 3. They do click Protect to get an extra turn of leftovers recovery. All right, Primarina does go back up to just under 50% health, and we did see that Energy Ball from turn 1 off that massive 175 special attack from that Mega Chandelure deal 3/4 of Primarina's health, and Primarina at +1 is just not enough for the Chandelure as he takes game 3 for the DragonKnights and keeps it a 2-1 victory for them, with the NL Phantoms going down here. What an absolute show for Mega Chandelure, who put down work in games 1 and 3. The switch out from game 2 did make it so that, the Dragon Knights could not get themselves back into the game off of Primarina, but game 3, Chandelure came back into the lead and really held strong here and did a fantastic job. Great show from both the pilots of these teams as they made it an incredible matchup to watch.